going to be reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, Text 22. So this is the Advent of Lord Krishna introduction. It's interesting. In my systematic Bhagavatam reading, I'm just a little bit ahead of this myself, and I was just appreciating how much nectarian and amazing instructions there are in the first two chapters of the 10th canto. Paraiva pumsada dritodara bhavadviram saryadu supspajanyatam sayavad urvya badam ishvareshvara swakala sakya kshapayam chared bhuvi. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nivasesa Nivani Paskatyade Satarani Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Bitam Sam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Vanchakalpachi Vishak Kripasindavi Vitapati Janam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So looking at the word for word, Pura, even before this, Eva, indeed, Pumsa, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Avadritaha was certainly known, Dara Jwaraha, the distress on the earth, Bhavadbhi, by your good selves, Amsai, expanding as plenary portions, Yarushu, in the family of King Yaru, Upajanyatam, take your birth and appear there, Saha, he, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yavat, as long as, Urdvyaha, of the earth, Baram, the burden, Ishvara, the Lord of Lords, Swakala Sakya, by his own potency, the time factor, Shapayam, diminishing, Charet, should move, Bhuvi, on the surface of the earth. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Lord Brahma informed the demigods, before we submitted our petition to the Lord, he was already aware of the distress on earth. Consequently, for as long as the Lord moves on earth to diminish its burden by his own potency in the form of time, all of you demigods should appear through plenary portions as sons and grandsons in the family of the Yadus. Srila Prabhupada's purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 539, Ramadi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan Nana Vitara Makaro Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Padama Pumanyo Govindamadi Putasham Tam Maham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Ram and Nrsimha, and in many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. In the present verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we find the words Paraiva Pumsa Drito Dara Jwaraha. The word Pumsa refers to Krishna, who was already aware of how the whole world was suffering because of the increase of demons. Without reference to the supreme power of the personality of Godhead, demons assert themselves to be independent kings and presidents, and thus they create a disturbance by increasing their military power. When such disturbances are very prominent, Krishna appears. At present also, various demoniac states all over the world are increasing their military power in many ways, and the whole situation has become distressful. Therefore, Krishna has appeared by his name in the Hare Krishna movement, which will certainly diminish the burden of the world. Philosophers, religionists, and people in general must take to this movement very seriously, for man-made plans and devices will not help bring peace on earth. The transcendental sound, Hare Krishna, is not different from the person Krishna. Nama Chintamani Krishnas, Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, Purna Shuddha Nityamukto, Vinadvad Nama Namino. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 17:133, quoting the Padma Purana. There is no difference between the sound Hare Krishna and Krishna the person. Puraiva pum sava doto darajvaro, bavad vir ansar yadu spush pajamyata, sayavad urjya badam ishvarishvara, swakala sakya ksha payams chared buri. I like that word, ishvarishvara. Ishvarishvara. Lord Brahma informed the demigods, before we submitted our petition to the Lord, he was already aware of the distress on earth. Consequently, for as long as the Lord moves on earth to diminish its burden by his own potency in the form of time, all of you demigods should appear through plenary portions as sons and grandsons in the family of the Yadus. So in the Acharya's commentary, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, Sanatana Goswami, they state that Lord Brahma is taking a few verses here to repeat the instructions of the Lord. And when he says Yadu dynasty, he also means the Pandavas, etc. So not just the Yadu dynasty. So here we see how the Lord is working with the jivas in order to accomplish his mission. And sometimes Prabhupada would say God helps those who help themselves, or man proposes, God disposes. There's this interchange, this interplay between the Lord and the jiva to accomplish things. It's not like Prabhupada said that Krishna doesn't say to Arjuna, just, lie down and sleep on the chariot and I'll do everything for you. He says, everything's already done, but you have to be an instrument in the fight. So I wanted to look at this in three different areas. One is how materialists, they pray to God for something, but they also have to work for it in materialistic life. It's not just that you work for it, and it's not just that God gives you what you want. And then we want to look at this from the point of view of Lord Brahma, who is considered or categorized by Srila Rupa Goswami and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as an appointed servant in this mood of dasya, in this mood of service. And then we're going to look at the devotees to whom Lord Brahma is speaking, where he's saying, go and take birth in these dynasties on earth. It's interesting, it says the sons and grandsons, but there were women too, that among the demigods who took birth on earth. So there's various degrees of cooperation by the devotees, of various types of devotees and so forth. All right, let's first look at the materialists. So there was, I don't know how popular it is anymore, but some years ago, there was a very popular philosophy circulating that if you could just simply tap into the universe properly and express your desires properly, then everything would happen with basically no effort on your part. Like you sort of sit in your room and you envision, a red sports car, and somehow you open your eyes and you look in your driveway and lo and behold, there is a red sports car. Now, we all have experience of things like this happening. I remember very distinctly when I was in Auckland, New Zealand, that I was walking to my room from somewhere. And I was thinking, I'd really like some cashews. And when I arrived at my room, there was a bag of cashews rubber band to the door handle. So these things do happen, but generally that's not the case, right? In fact, Krishna says this is determination in tamagun, in what Prabhupada calls a mode of ignorance, that you just kind of, lie on your couch eating potato chips and watching the sports games, and you think, I'd like to be rich. Rich. I'd like to be rich. And lo and behold, nothing happens. The next day, you are still sitting on your couch eating potato chips, watching the football game, and you haven't become rich. That's usually how it works. And then they'll say, well, you just don't want it strongly enough, or you have low self-esteem or something. You think you don't deserve it. You have to think you deserve it. So I deserve to be rich. I deserve to be rich. And you just don't get anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. Of course, even sitting down and meditating on something is also doing something. So you are still doing something. And in fact, people will sometimes put a tremendous amount of time and energy into their manifestation techniques. But really the way it works is that if you want something in this world and you really want something in this world, then Krishna from within the heart will give you instructions about how to get it. And then you have to actually do something to get it, right? This is explained also in the Bible, that one has to work for what one wants. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita: no one can maintain his physical body without some sort of work. At the same time, we are not the only factor of action, because on the other extreme, a person can work really, 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 really hard to try to become rich. They can, try to get a good education and a good job, and they work really hard at their job, or they start their own business or their own enterprise, and they may be putting in, 100 hours a week of working to become rich and still not become rich. So that also happens. So that's because there's an interplay between God and the living entity. Right? It's not one or the other. It's not just that we're the doers. Krishna says this is foolish. Ahankara vimudha makartaham iti manyate. Now we just work hard and we are the architects of our own fortune 100%. We see that that's not true. Some people don't work hard and they get rich, and some people work really, really hard and they don't get rich. And nor is it that God is just like, magically in his original form or in his form as the universe is just magically bestowing things on anyone who wants them. I mean, no good parent does that, right? Last night I was eating with my family and my daughter had made this, I don't know if it was a lemon cream pie or a lime cream pie. I think it was a lime cream pie. And it was offered to the deities here. And my granddaughter had made these spinach and paneer rolls that were just incredible. So the little children, her children, they wanted the pie. And she said, first you have to eat your spinach rolls and then you can have the pie. So good parents do that. I want to play with the puzzle. So first you have to put away your trains. You have to do something. And when you're older, first you have to do your homework. First you have to clean your room. Or if you want to buy something, you have to work for it. So there's this interplay. The parents are providing the toys. The parents are providing the food. But still you have to work for it. So Krishna's like that too in this world. So in this world, whatever we get, we have to work for it. And the reason for that is that what we want in this world generally is selfish. And so Krishna says, all right, you can have it, but you have to have put in the effort for it. And then Krishna facilitates. We are one of the 5 factors of action, and another factor is God. Other factors are the place and the endeavor and the body. So there's a combination of these. And this is true for materialistic people. And whatever we get, we've actually earned it, but also it's been given by the grace of God. So demons think, or demoniac people, evil people, sinful people, however nomenclature you want to put on it, they think everything I've gotten, I've earned, even the things they're born with, even if they don't have a sense of past lives and karma. They usually have some sense that, well, I deserve this because it's true. It's actually true. If you're born into a family of wealth and you get a high education and you have beauty and you have good health, you have actually earned that in a previous life. And I think the innate sense of that is why we tend to trust people more if they're beautiful and rich and educated. We have some sort of sense that they've earned this by pious activities, but still it has to be given by God. It's still awarded by God. We do not have the power as a living entity to just get things on our own. Now, there is a world of immediate manifestation in the spiritual world because everyone's desires are pure and perfect and loving. Whatever we want does get immediately manifested. And so perhaps the people who are propounding this system are remembering that somewhere, somewhere in their consciousness. They know that that's our natural position. And the more one becomes attuned to higher states of spiritual consciousness, the more one is in what we call sattva gun, or the mode of goodness, the more one is able to manifest one's desires, because the Lord and the demigod cooperate with them. That is a fact. But it's still this mode of cooperation, as Prabhupada would say, first deserve, then desire. All right, let's go to above even those in sattva gun, let's go to the devotees of the Lord. We were saying how our original position is whatever we want is manifested, kalpraviksha lakshamriteshu, by the desire trees. Of course, even there in the spiritual world, even though everything can be manifested by the desire trees, still we find that the devotees are very active. They don't need to be active to maintain a physical body, and they don't need to be active to manifest anything. But they are active because it's fun to be active. It's not actually enjoyable to just do nothing and just kind of lie around. That's not what we enjoy, right? When we're inactive for too long, we become restless. It's almost a punishment, like you're sick and you have to just be in bed inactive. Prabhupada said it's not that the body is active, it's that the soul is naturally very active. And the way we want to be active is in the service of something greater than ourselves. Even if we could just manifest whatever we wanted, guaranteed that would become very boring after a while, right? Our desire as a soul is not just to manifest stuff. Our desire as a soul is to have meaning and to have loving relationships. That's our deep Jivera Swarupaya Krishnira Nichidas. That's our deep desire as a soul. And so in this material world, even, there are appointed servants like Lord Brahma. And they work consciously in harmony with the Lord. So for the materialist, if I want that new red shiny sports car, that may not be in harmony with the Lord. So I have to do my karma to earn it, and Krishna gives it to me. But if I want to do something in harmony with the Lord, and then I'm going to find that what I do is satisfying. Now, one misconception is that if I work in harmony with the Lord, that everything will work out the way I desire. It's actually a contradiction, isn't it? I think, okay, if I just work in harmony with the Lord, then I'll get whatever I want. But actually, if I just work in harmony with the Lord, I'll get whatever he wants. And if I'm really in harmony with the Lord, then I will want what he wants. Yes? Because religious materialists think, if I work in harmony with the Lord, then he'll be my servant and he'll give me what I want, and my life will turn out exactly the way I have in my head. And when that doesn't happen with religious people, they often have a faith crisis. I was a good person, I followed all the rules, and still my wife left me, my husband left me, my business failed, my kid died, my leg got broken, what's going on here? Where's God? But it's that if I work in harmony with the Lord's plans will be accomplished through me. And I will get my satisfaction in that. I will feel fully satisfied, actually much more so than if my own plans come to fruition. So this is what Lord Brahma is doing. I found it interesting that both Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Sanatana Goswami says that Lord Brahma is just repeating what the Lord said. So the Lord gave instructions, and now Lord Brahma is repeating it. And this is one of the most satisfying ways to work in harmony with the Lord. In fact, that is literally what I am doing right now, or at least attempting to do right now. To be a mouthpiece for the Lord, to take the things that the Lord says and to repeat them. And of course, I'm repeating them along with my own personality and my own personal realizations and my own personal understanding of that and my own experiences of that. And that is what we're each supposed to do. Sometimes Prabhupada says like parrot, and other times he says, well, not exactly like parrot. One should have one's own realizations. And therefore, it's nice to hear the Lord's words from a variety of devotees, each of which has their own life experience and their own flavor of realizations, where they can, how to understand this. I mean, even among our acharyas, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains the Lord's words somewhat differently than Bhakti Siddhanta, who's his own son. And our Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, also explains things according to his realizations and his life experiences. Srila Prabhupada will sometimes refer, to some specific experiences of his. He'll say, I was seeing this in the court, or I saw this in my business, or I saw this in my family or among my friends, and he's relating this, taking the Lord's word. So this is one of the best ways that we can align our own actions and our own desires with that of God, is by speaking his message. And this is true by speaking it not only with words. We can speak the Lord's message in paintings, in music, in dance, in our life. We can be exemplifying the Lord's teachings in the way we live our life. We can be speaking practically and physically, but somehow to be his messenger. And everyone can do this. Everyone can do it. And then we find that our own, everything that we desire is satisfied. Not necessarily that we get that red sports car or whatever it is we want, but that what we hope to achieve by getting that sports car or whatever, we feel satisfied with. We feel secure, we feel loved, we feel appreciated, we have meaning in our life, we have peace, we have joy, we have adventure, all of the things we're looking for that we hope to get materially. We feel completely satisfied. Just like right before the class started, we had this discussion. How are you? Oh, I'm choosing to be happy, right? So I choose to be happy by aligning myself with the desire of God, by being his instrument on earth. Now, there's many deep ways we can do this. This is the third thing I wanted to look at, where Lord Brahma is telling these demigods who are concerned about the problems on the earth, now go do something. Not that you just come to God and you say, hey, there's problems on the earth, and God says, don't worry, I'll take care of it, go home. But the Lord is saying, hey, I'm going to take care of this through you. Go and take birth on the earth. Imagine this, you're a demigod, right? Demigods' bodies are really cool. They don't sweat. They can maintain their temperature without sweating. So they don't need to take a bath. They take a bath just for fun. They don't have to. They don't have to buy deodorant. In fact, their bodies perfume the atmosphere for 80 miles around. They don't have to do laundry. Sheesh, wouldn't that be nice not to have to do laundry? Like your clothes are always just clean, right? Your body's always just clean, and you don't have to buy perfume. You are perfume. And you live a very long time, and you don't get old. Getting old is not fun, my dear young friends. So, you don't have to get old. And then they're going to come to earth where they're going to be stinky and dirty and get old. Right? My goodness. Actually, a story about how demigods don't sweat is in the Mahabharata with Damayanti and Nila, where Damayanti wants to marry Nila. And the demigods also want to marry her. She's so qualified. So 3 demigods come. I can't remember who they are. Indra, Agni, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, 3 demigods come. And they all disguise themselves as Nila. So she basically looks, and there's 4 Nilas in front of her. And they said, so who do you want to marry? And she looks and sees who's sweating. And that's how she knows who the Earthman is. So that's the...
Did she see or did she smell?
I don't know if she smelled it. I'm not sure. Maybe she smelled it too.
Okay.
Probably saw, sweat marks under his arms.
Okay.
Aha, there's the human. So these demigods who don't have to do laundry and don't have to buy deodorant and perfume and don't need to bathe, and they don't have to get old. And they get a little bit old at the end. Their garland fades, and then they know, oops, time's up. And they don't get very sick. I'm sure they don't get COVID-19. So they come to the planet as humans to help the Lord. Prabhupada compared it to the Westerners going to India. He said, you Westerners are very rich and you're very opulent, but you like to go to India for spiritual advancement. And I'm like, oh, Prabhupada gets it, Sometimes it's hard. You think, well, I'm going to go to India. Gosh, in India, my place is not going to be very well heated or very well cooled, and I have to do my laundry by hand in a bucket. So the demigods are doing this. They're willing to come to earth to help the Lord in his pastimes because they love the Lord. And they know the Lord can do everything himself. He can take care of all the demons and all the disturbances himself, but they want to come to assist. And these demigods who come to assist, some of them are materialistic devotees. Some of them are pure devotees. Some of them are in the mood of servants, like Lord Brahma is in the mood of a servant. Some of them are in the mood of friends. Some of them are in the mood of parents, like Kasyapa and Aditi. They come as Vasudeva and Devaki, the Lord's parents. So they come in different moods. Some of them are sadhakas, practicing devotees who will become perfect in the Lord's pastimes. Some of them are already perfected devotees who come like the Pandavas. They come in the Lord's traveling roadshow in the material world. And they come and assist the Lord's pastimes. And the Lord is enacting his will again through them. So it's this interplay between the Lord and the living entity. So this is relevant for us as well, that I've got to do a cooperative effort with the Lord, whatever I'm going to do, whether I want to be a materialist or I want to be a spiritualist. There is a cooperative relationship going on between me and the Lord. The Lord is not doing everything while I'm passive, and nor am I doing everything without any divine help and without any divine guidance. Neither is the case. So I have had experience, and I'm sure we've all had experience, that I don't really know what is the best thing to desire for myself. That I may get what I desire, and then when I get what I desire, I may find, oh, this wasn't really what I wanted. I got my red sports car, but then I get stopped more often by the police because they figure I must be speeding. Or, I have to maintain it all the time, and it's expensive to maintain this fancy luxury car. Or I get into an accident because I'm so into my car and I'm going so fast, right? Or I'm always worrying about my car. Every time I get a scratch on it, I'm in so much anxiety. And I may find, I didn't know what to desire. I didn't know what to desire. And this happens with things we don't want also. I might think, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. And I get it anyway. And then when I get it, it's like, oh, actually, this was pretty nice. And then not only do I not know what to desire now, that the things I think I want may actually cause me suffering, and the things I think I don't want may actually cause me happiness, but I have to work really, really hard for them. And then I have to get some kind of karmic reaction later in this life or in my next life for all these things that I've done on my own. So instead, if I think, why don't I be in harmony with the Lord's plans? Why don't, instead of asking the Lord to serve me, why don't I see if I could serve him? I mean, he's omniscient and omnipotent, and he's benevolent. He's my best friend. He desires only welfare for me. Why don't I assist him? Find out what he wants and do it. And what's really lovely is there's lots and lots of things that the Lord wants. Prabhupada says that Krishna is not narrow or stereotyped. So just like these demigods have this whole plethora of ways in which they're assisting the Lord according to their own personal desires, their own personality, their own relationship with him, there's also, practically speaking, unlimited ways that we can assist the Lord. And particularly with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu having this mission of spreading Krishna consciousness to the world. I mean, we can spread Krishna consciousness, again, in an unlimited number of ways. It's only constrained by our desires and our faith. There's so few things that are prohibited to us. I mean, it's interesting. You have some devotees who want to make everything very narrow and stereotyped and want to basically prohibit almost everything. That all you can do is distribute books and have a kirtan or something. But it's not like that. I mean, we just can't eat meat, fish, or eggs, take intoxication, have illicit sex, and gamble. So, You can't run a butcher shop for Krishna. You can't be, run a prostitution ring for Krishna. You can't be a mafia boss for Krishna. But, other than those things, whatever you want to do, you can, as Prabhupada said, dovetail. One can dovetail one's desires with the desires of the Lord. What would the Lord like? And what do I like to do? What do I like to do? What am I good at or potentially can become good at? What does the Lord like to do? What does he want to do? And you put that together. And then you have this very satisfying life. Whether or not it looks that way externally, it doesn't matter. One will be satisfied in the external good times and the external bad times because one is finding one's satisfaction in one's relationship with the Lord, not from external things. So I was asked to leave time for questions before 8. So we can open this up to discussions and questions and chastisements, additions and subtractions.
Thank you very much, Urmila Devi Prabhu. I just wanted to reflect quickly that what I like the point that you made, how what's active in you is not the body. What's active is the soul. I really like that. And I also like how Krishna told Arjuna, everything is done, but that doesn't mean that you have to sleep on the chariot and I'll do everything for you. So it's an interplay between us and Krishna and Guru, right?
Absolutely. And the other devotees.
Yeah.
And the scriptures.
Right. Nice. So you're the mouthpiece today. We're the earpiece. We're all serving Krishna. That brings satisfaction.
Well, now you're being the mouthpiece. It goes back and forth.
Right. Back and forth. And I also liked one thing you said in my systematic reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I really like that word, systematic. That's a sign of.
Well, I do two kinds of reading. I do one kind of reading for particular purposes. Like, I studied this verse today for this class, and I studied the Acharya's commentaries for this class. Then I also do at all times a systematic reading where I start at the beginning of a book and I just go through the book to read it. Now, I've already systematically read all of Srila Prabhupada's main books. I don't know if I've read every single one of the little books. And most of them I've read more than once. Some of them I've read dozens of times. But I still go through and do systematic reading. And at this point, I'm not really reading for information, but I'm reading for relishing. And so sometimes sometimes I'll just read one verse and purport in a day, and sometimes I'll read 10 or 20. And nice. Yes, we have some question here from our interfaith label. Yes, Prabhu.
Hi, Krishna Mataji. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you just fine.
Yeah, fantastic class. And of course, we're here to glorify Krishna. How wonderful is Krishna that he gives us these options. Last night we were listening to by Shisheka Prabhu, and he was quoting that verse about Dharma Projitakaitava, the second verse in the Bhagavatam, about how the Bhagavatam kicks out cheating religion. Yes. And that even there might be some religious activities that are decorated with ceremony or ritual or, mantras or whatever. But if like, just as you explained so perfectly, Krishna is arranging that we do this pseudo-religious stuff. And it's so unfortunate because we'll never actually be satisfied like that. It's selfish, like you pointed out so nicely. It's not about love. It's not about pleasing Krishna. It's about adjusting the world so that I'm satisfied and happy and painless, rather than, Lord, whatever you like, and that's what the Bhagavatam's recommending. And that's who we really are, loving beings. A fantastic class. Thank you so much. Really,
Thank
really
you.
wonderful.
That was just so well put. That was so well put.
We're just repeating Srila Prabhupada in the Bhagavatam. That's all.
That's all.
How do we put our hand down?
Oh, I can do that. I think. I don't know if I'm a co-host or not. Yeah, I can do it. I did it. There you go.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Gail.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, I just want to follow up on this, the body doesn't do anything statement. So when we say that, what we're really saying is that it is the activities of the body begin with the soul, isn't it?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Well, the body is one of the 5 factors of action. It's the instrument that I'm using. But it's just like right now in my kitchen over there. So there's knives and spoons and rolling pins. I actually have 2 rolling pins because I forgot I had one and bought another one. And I've got bowls and pots. And now none of them are doing anything. I mean, I hope not. I hope none of them are doing anything. You know, if I want them to do something, I have to walk over there and use them. Now, they're part of the action. So the 5 factors of action: myself, the Lord, the instrument, the endeavor, and the place. However, only the Lord and I are actually living and actors and doers. So the body is really just like those pots, and you can't see them, but you know, the pots and knives and rolling pin.
Including the mind, right?
Yes, the mind is just a machine.
Yeah. Because we often hear that, the mind is always active, but it's because the soul is active, isn't it?
Yes, the mind is just a machine. It's a subtle machine, but it is simply a machine.
Yeah. Oh my God. There was something. Oh my God, there was something I really wanted to ask you, and I just blanked.
Well, when you remember, stick it in the chat. Maybe we'll have time. Shikshastika?
Oh yes, I do actually remember.
Yes.
I think Ananda Bihari Prabhu mentioned vision boards in the context of eating potato chips and wanting everything to happen. Right. So vision boards is a concept that I was just very recently introduced to, but it was that.
Did you get your red car yet?
We actually do have a red sports car in the family. My husband went through midlife crisis. He worked for it. So similarly, though, with vision boards, yes, you could have that couch potato approach, but isn't it also legit to have a vision board?
Oh, absolutely. To have a sankalpa, to have a goal is necessary. And we should definitely have a vision. You know, Srila Prabhupada's 7 purposes for ISKCON was a vision. One needs a sankalpa. One needs some goal, something that what one is trying to achieve. In fact, throughout the Shastra, whenever anyone prays to the Lord, part of it is asking for something. You know, the other day I had somebody request a meeting with me. So, I scheduled time and blah, blah, and we had a meeting, and I'm like, so what do you want? So what do you want? Why are you requesting a meeting with me? Is there something you want me to do? Is there something you need from me? I mean, sometimes we may want to just hang out with people just to hang out with them. But we should have a sankalpa for everything that we're doing. What do I want to achieve? And we can have a vision for what we want to achieve in service, as long as we're open and flexible about it.
And working for it.
And working for it. Open, flexible about it, and working for it. What I tell people frequently is have idea of where you want to go, what you want to achieve. Keep it open and flexible, because it may change with time. It probably will. And then every day take a step toward it. Even if that step is just thinking about it for a few minutes a day, every day take some step towards what your goal is. And ultimately our goal should be pure Krishna consciousness. But we may have another goal. We may have a goal to build a temple, or we may have a goal to distribute a certain number of books, or we may have a goal to really bring Krishna consciousness into my workplace, or, and as specific as you can make it while keeping open and flexible is very helpful. So to have a very specific idea at the same time, be open and flexible. Krishna may say, well, actually, now I want you to do it this way, or now I want you to do it this way. That tends to unfold as we go, or even like we want to have a bed and breakfast for Krishna, whatever it may be, and there can be other goals. I want to be peaceful when people insult me and to take a step toward that, it's very important. It's not that these manifesting people get it all wrong. That's not the case. But it it's also not to just, all I have to do is desire and God just does everything without that. That's ridiculous. Shikshastika.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna.
I was just reading the Shikshastika prayers, actually. I finished the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Bengali, and the translations and everything. And it's really beautiful because they're all couplets. But I had a question in regards to Sankalpa means goal, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, everybody may have a goal. I was just reading that when you have a natural goal, like toward your constitutional position of who you really are, that's actually a perfect goal.
Yes.
And so
and that is considered to be not a desire.
Right.
So in other words, if I want to fully be who I am, that's not really a desire. That's considered desirelessness.
So, but at the same time, we should desire what Krishna wants. I'm very afraid to desire what I want because I am so, my mind is always splayed out in many different directions. So how can I was just reading one of some of Lord Chaitanya's comments on the 8th verse of the Shikshastika prayers, and he was pointing out that Srimati Radharani, she didn't care if Krishna embraced her or if he left her brokenhearted. She didn't care about anything. She just wanted to please Krishna. So how can we increase our desire to that extent by following in the footsteps of, the servants of the Lord Chaitanya, and so that we can actually attain that kind of desire that will get us up off of our sofa?
Well, just really briefly, because we now have 1 minute before the curtain opens.
Okay, thank you.
Wanting to be yourself spiritually is exactly what Krishna wants. Krishna wants you to be fully yourself. So if you want to be fully yourself, if you want to realize who you really are, that is what Krishna wants. So you can be absolutely 100% confident that that desire is Krishna's desire. That there's no question. If I want to realize myself in my eternal position in relationship to Krishna, that's what he wants for you more than anything else. And that is not really even a desire, because I want to be who I am is not really considered a desire. As far as our actions in this world, again, we want to be who I am in this world. What are my talents? What are my propensities? And to use that for Krishna. And I don't think you have to worry about it just so much that you're going to become frozen. Krishna has automatic means of correction. If you desire to do something in his service and stay open and flexible about it, if it's not his will, he'll let it be known. And you can say, my dear Lord, this is what I'd like to do for you. If it is your will, please facilitate it. If it's not your will, please don't, and let me be happy either way. So we have to, and now it's time to greet the deities. I hope that's helpful for you.
Thank you.
It's a deep question, so I hope that's helpful. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai.